All right, great. While we're waiting for everybody to come back, the next portion, for the next hour and 10 minutes, we're gonna launch into updates. So I'll be sharing my screen with the slides again. We're gonna start with update from Chris with the Iowa Food System Coalition, and then we're gonna jump into updates with all our priority teams, which are the chapters in our Iowa Food System Plan. And then also we have some other updates sprinkled in there that we like to do traditionally in our RFSWG meeting. So I'm gonna get my slide deck going and turn it over to Chris.
And good morning, everyone, and thank you again for the really important discussion on land access this morning. So just wait for the screen to pop up. There we go. But it's been exciting couple of months since our last meeting in May. Whereas the final launching of setting the table for all Iowans, our food system plan. So it's no longer just a concept of a plan, just to reference the debate the other night. But it is our plan that was published to the website and shared out with partners in June. And then July 1st was the public launching of it at the state capitol grounds. It was a really fantastic event with the Golden Dome in the backdrop, and a successful press conference followed by a lunch featuring some great Iowa food. It was really out of that, there were over 40 media hits just from the launch event, and we've had a really steady stream of additional coverage since that time on different aspects of the plan, and there's more coming up. And I especially really enjoyed our long discussion on IPR's Talk of Iowa with Charity Nebby. That was a really great conversation for us. We've held 4 different online trainings navigating the plan. Those have all been conducted, and there'll be additional trainings all throughout the life of the plan as this evolves and as needs arise. Partnership portal is live and published, and that is full of resources for all of our great partners, any of you on the call today, to be able to communicate about different parts of setting the table for all Iowans. If you have not signed in and created a login for the partnership portal, you need any assistance with that, just feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll make sure we get you set up on the partnership portal. We've also been doing a number of public presentations on the plan as well, including at the Iowa Hunger Summit, the IFU Day at the State Fair, the ISU Farm to School and Early Care Conference, as well as presentations to the Healthy Iowans, both their work group and their steering committee. And they've got a number of different presentations coming up as well. And if you've got, if you'd like someone from the coalition to come and give a presentation on setting the table for all Iowans, either in person or online with your organization, we're more than happy to help make that happen. I'll jump to the next slide. All right, some exciting things coming up and going on. Of course, this Saturday is our first annual coalition cookout. So after we finish this call, I'm going into party preparation mode, as we'll be hosting everybody involved with the coalition, and your families are all invited to come to Waterloo this Saturday for the coalition cookout from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And you're just asked to bring a dish to share that celebrates local Iowa grown and produced ingredients. So it's going to be a really great time. My band, the Harmony Electric, will be doing a short set performance, and we'll have outdoor games. And the gardens are still looking beautiful this time of year, so there's really going to be a fun time. The other exciting thing is that we are currently taking nominations on our racial equity mini grants. Those nominations are due by midnight on Wednesday, September 18th. That's Wednesday of next week. And then the steering committee will make decisions pretty rapidly on those. We have $5,000, of which we are planning on awarding 5 different recipients $1,000 each, and it's in recognition of work that is being done across the food system. And so if you've got an individual or organization that you want to nominate, I'm going to drop that form here in the chat. We've had a number of really great nominations come through already, so that's really, really encouraging. Other big development that we're working on is that an RFP for a 501c3 fiscal agent is going out to partners. And this is just to allow the main thing is this to allow us is the kind of stability as an organization and really allow that ongoing fundraising that's outside of grant cycles. So we've got a financial home in which allows us to be able to fundraise. They would be the primary grant holder for the coalition, but we would still maintain the flexibility to house specific grants with other partners as you know, as is needed. The other big thing that we're working on right now is legislative candidate outreach. So using this opportunity of the newly released plan and communicating top priorities out of that to state House and state Senate candidates, as well as county candidates. And so what we're looking for are partners of the coalition that would like to be host sites for these visits. As the host, you are mainly just responsible for kind of providing the space and being able to conduct a tour. We would then take care of all the organizing of inviting candidates of all parties, state and county, as well as federal candidates, to the location. We would take care of the scheduling and stuff, and then just have a conversation about our setting the table for all Iowans, legislative priorities coming up, and then specifically the parts that relate to your site as a hosting organization. And so if you're interested in being involved with that, just reach out to me. I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for putting us on the map of a lot of decision makers and policymakers. And the part that I want to end with in my update is we've got a really, really talented communications team, and we want to be able to help tell your organization's stories, especially in how they relate to setting the table for all Iowans. And so if you've got a story that you want our help telling, please reach out to us with those, and we will amplify your great work and your great message. So that I'm happy to take questions.
All right,
I
awesome.
have a-
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have a question, Chris.
Yes.
This is Giselle. If we're bringing something for the potluck, how many people should we cook for?
Oh, well, it's there are about 50 RSVPs for the potluck, but you don't have to make something for 50 people, you know.
Got it.
It's
That gives me a range. Okay, thank you. I'm really excited for it.
me too. The weather's looking pretty good.
It is. That's a great question. Thank you, Giselle. All right, we're going to jump into our updates and we'll go through these and then hopefully have a time for some questions at the end before we get into announcements and closing out our morning. So
I think we also have Arlene's video first.
yeah,
Also
yes.
cool.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, before we jump into that, Arlene could not join us today. So she recorded a video talking about the formative evaluation that we're doing for Iowa Food System Coalition. All right, so Megan, I just hit play and here we go, right?
I think this should work. Maybe.
I'm not getting any sound.
We might I know Arlene also included captions in that video with that little CC button. But Jody, did you click share sound when you shared screen?
I
Sure.
did not. I did not. Do you have that handy? I could stop, and do you want to share the video piece if you have your computer all ready to go,
Yes,
Megan?
I can pull it up
Okay.
real quick. Thank you
Perfect.
everyone for your patience.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Share.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you today, but I have another
Are
meeting that I
you able
had to
to
be
hear
at.
that?
But I'm thankful for this opportunity to share a little bit of the results with you from the 2024 formative evaluation for the Iowa Food Systems Coalition. Many of you will remember that we sent out a survey to coalition members last April and May, and these are the results from that survey. First of all, the survey identified some of the strengths of the coalition, and the greatest strength was identified as being a high level of trust and a sense of belonging among people who are participating in the coalition. We also found that another strength was that the coalition is doing a good job of upholding its value of pride in local food and agriculture. And there's also a high degree of satisfaction among respondents with the direction that the coalition is moving in. We also found that respondents are energized by the people who are involved in the coalition and the passion of those people, and that really ties in with this sense of trust and belonging among members. And finally, they're energized by the opportunity to collaborate across sectors and across organizations, which is what the coalition is all about. So that's really good information. Now I'm going to talk about some recommendations and next steps that were developed in collaboration with the steering committee after looking at the results of the survey. First, the steering committee wants to consider how the coalition can grow to become more diverse. And some ideas that they have for that are doing a partner inventory or some sort of partner map to better understand who's engaged and who else needs to be engaged. They've also talked about developing an outreach plan for reaching out to individuals or organizations that they would like to have engaged. Next, they would like to explore the demographics of the coalition participants and have some deeper discussion on how those demographics affect the work. And this is something that both the steering committee and the priority teams could do. The next recommendation is to reflect on how the coalition can better uphold its values of care for the environment, community empowerment, and social and racial equity. The survey showed that the coalition is not upholding those values as highly as people would like, but the steering committee also understands that these are difficult and these are high, what should I say? Kind of high aspirations. And so the steering committee understands that this is going to take long-term work and commitment. The next recommendation is to explore ways to offer more transparency in decision-making. And they've considered exploring maybe some different decision-making tools or decision-making matrix that could be used by the steering committee to give greater transparency of how they're making decisions. And it could also give priority teams a tool that would give them freedom to make necessary decisions. The next recommendation is to more clearly outline what is expected of coalition members filling various roles, including the expected time commitment, because the survey showed that many people were giving more time to the coalition than they originally anticipated. The next recommendation is to consider compensation for steering committee members or rotating terms to prevent burnout. And finally, the last recommendation is to include regular updates in newsletters or quarterly meetings about the coalition's funding and budget. You can find the full report from the survey on the Iowa Food System Coalition website, and there's a lot more there than what I was able to talk about in these 3 minutes. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss related to the survey, my contact information is here on the screen. feel free to email me or give me a call or send me a text. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Jody, do you want to take
All
over the slide?
right. Yep, and I'll go back to the slide now. Awesome. Okay, thank you everybody for being patient here. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're headed into our updates, and yes, we will go through these, and I will pull up slides, and whoever is here in the meeting to give your update, if you can do that, that would be great. And then we'll have some time if there's questions at the end of these updates. All right, going to turn it over to land and resource access first.
I believe that Zach might be in Washington, DC right now.
Yeah, so Zach's part of the Washington, DC advocacy effort through the Iowa Farmers Union. So I think for like 3 days, they're lobbying and advocating and meeting with people on behalf of local food systems and all the work we're doing in Iowa.
He is. I'll jump in real quick. This is Jenny. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, Zach's in DC. I'm here. I'm taking notes. I'll try to catch him up when he gets back and settle down again. I know we've had some meetings over the past couple months, I think sort of tangential at least to this work. I'm understanding everything going on. There's a lot of moving parts, I guess, is the short update is there's a lot of moving parts. And I know he's been reaching out to other folks doing the same work to see how it can dovetail in with this coalition work and move the work forward. It was nice to hear about land access today. All ears on that, because it's, you know, a cornerstone, foundational to land and resource access is that land piece. I don't know. And I don't know that there's anything new to report other than we're in the middle of our busy season, but I know he's been at it. We've had some meetings, so thanks everybody.
Okay, this is Bob Ferguson, and I'm going to ask Gil Gillespie to jump in here. We've actually been fairly active. We meet every month. And one of the things that Arlene has helped us with and our team has worked on is getting as complete a list of food and farm businesses in the state as we possibly can. Then we may have Ravada Consulting or another organization just deduplicate it, put it into one nice format so that we can all use it. So that is, I think, going to be a great deliverable. Then our meeting with the policy team was really, really good. You can see some of the things that we talked about. And that's something tangentially that I would just say that the more we can get our teams talking to each other, 2 teams talking together, 3 teams talking together, it was really a very, very fruitful discussion. So then 2 events. Well, there's something that's not on the slide that I think is very significant. We raised $15,000 to do a needs assessment with Ravada Consulting, run by a couple of senior data scientists from GoDaddy, to actually do a quantitative analysis of both consumers, producers, and market makers in our 10-county area. And we quickly realized that the needs of those 3 groups are going to be the same pretty much throughout Iowa. So we expanded, the reach of that. And if anyone, I can put it in the chat, but it's pretty easy. If you just go to SEIAfoodweb.org, SEIAfoodweb.org, spread that around. Take the survey. We're gonna keep it open after the meeting next Wednesday, but it would be particularly valuable to have more producers to fill it out. So if you're a producer yourself, just go to seiafoodweb.org and you can fill it out. It takes about 5 minutes. So kind of the big thing that I've been working on and we've been doing a lot of talking about is our Ignite 2.0 meeting next week. And I did drop the invitation in there. We are up to probably 50 people. We can accommodate 70. And so again, we're interested in as many producers as we can possibly have come to that meeting. But if you're interested, please come, because it's ostensibly about our 10-county area. But what we're doing here is just a fractal of what can happen and is happening all over the state. So we're just focusing it on this area. The big deal about that is that Kellen, Gracie, and Ravada are going to be debriefing, the analysis of our needs assessment. Then Chris is going to be there talking about the work of the Food System Coalition, because not everyone knows about that, the plan. And then I think the thing that I'm proudest about is we have had a Skunk Works operation in Hy-Vee for about 4 or 5 months. And we have a fairly senior person at Hy-Vee was doing that. And we have been talking and talking and talking and talking. And finally, in a Hy-Vee meeting, when it was announced that they were going to do a real push on their homegrown program, our contact kind of used that as a time to move. And we got sanctioned from the very highest level of Hy-Vee that Hy-Vee will be there at the meeting in force to really look at how they can beef up the homegrown program, how they can be part of this effort. So that's a great thing. And then the Southwest Iowa Local Food Summit, I am going to make it over there. That's going to be a really great affair. So Gil, what did I miss?
I can't think of anything. I just put the schedule for your Ignite 2.0 in the chat, if anybody's interested in some of the content of it.
Yeah, now that is you may not have the very final version, but you get a sense of what we're going to do. We're going to do the report outs in the morning, and then Hy-Vee and Capital City Fruit is going to be there also, which is a very large distributor. So they're going to present kind of what their model is and what they need, and then the whole rest of the day is going to be workshopping. So it's not going to be the Hy-Vee show. It's going to be but they're there as a potential very, very powerful entity to buy a lot of stuff to help the food webs intersect with their distribution system. A lot of possibilities, and nothing is promised by them, but there is a lot of promise in having them at the table at a very, very high level. So that's our say.
Okay, this is me. Hi, everybody. I'm Giselle Bruskowitz, she, her, and also I'm wearing several hats today. So hopefully everyone doesn't get whiplash. But I am the Senior Program Director at Iowa Valley RC&D. So I get to work with Claire, who presented earlier. And one of my great honors is facilitating the Food Hub Managers Working Group. Let me change my view so I can see my slide. So for those who are unfamiliar, Food Hub Managers Working Group is a community of practice, and we meet quite regularly. As a community of practice, the group is sort of a peer learning and peer support group. It's a high trust group that's been meeting for a decade. We work together to solve problems, to work around advocacy, technical issues, high-level problem solving, in the weeds problem solving, and resource prospecting. So it includes wholesale food hubs, direct-to-consumer food hubs, and storage nodes. So the places that are located in between places in the state that store products for distribution so they can safely store them and improve logistics. So we've got a great group. This photo is from a retreat that we hosted at one of the food hubs, which is also a farm, Prudent Produce in Elkhart, Iowa. So we met in April and worked with an incredible facilitator. If anybody needs a facilitator recommendation, please reach out to me. And we talked really high level through this framework about where we want to be going, what's the vision, and building off of that work at the retreat. Very proud. In a couple months' time, the food hub managers came out with or developed a governance document. So we have this new framework through which we make decisions and are looking at leadership and increasing transparency and accountability. Those things weren't huge concerns, but it's really nice to have that framework in place to ensure that going forward that that's sustainable and that the group gets to make decisions about what the group is and where they want to go. If you want to see, I'm going to put all these links in the chat box after I'm done, so don't worry about that. Additionally, and more recently, the wholesale food hubs, so there's 4 wholesale food hubs in Iowa, formed a hub-to-hub network. And so they're working to build what we call the middle of the supply chain. So more of those larger institutional orders, looking at serving schools and hospitals and retirement communities and larger buyers. So how do those buyers get access to local food as well? So that group is meeting on the off weeks. So if you're a wholesale hub, you're meeting every week on Zoom to coordinate and facilitate this work. And there's lots of exciting things happening. Some of that is bolstered by the new RFSI grant that came through the state, so the Regional Food System Infrastructure Grant, which I will mention again in a later slide. Okay. Okay, so taking off my facilitator hat, I also am a co-chair of the priority team for the coalition, which is the infrastructure chapter. So shout out to Krista Hartsook, who is another co-lead of this team. She wasn't able to be here today. And also to Kate Gilbert, who is an unofficial chair of this committee as well. We've got a great group. We've been working most recently discussing metrics. So I think Bob mentioned this as well, that Arlene has taken all 9 of the coalition's priority chapters and picked the most important things that we want to measure first in terms of how do we chart success and how do we measure progress throughout the food system. So we have a couple of those that we're looking at as an infrastructure team. We're looking at increasing storage, aggregation, and distribution. We're looking at increasing sales, both direct to consumer and wholesale, and increasing processing opportunities, both on farm and off farm. So those are sort of like the main priority areas. And then of course, always wanting more collaboration and engagement through the coalition. So some of the ways that those things are being accomplished, these images are actually from this RFSI website. So I'll link that in the chat since I've mentioned it twice already. You can follow along at home if you want. So this RFSI, there's $4 million that are scheduled to go out to people across the state. It's a handful of infrastructure grants and then about 30 equipment grants. We're waiting on the final word from the USDA. So any minute now, we'll be getting those grants out to farmers and food businesses across the state. And they're investing in a whole range of things that are really going to bolster the infrastructure to help grow their businesses and just build a more robust infrastructure for our local food system, for local communities, and at really different scales and all across industries. So please stay tuned. We'll have a lot more on that. And then one plug, if you're interested in joining the infrastructure priority team, we're still recruiting, particularly interested in if you're a meat or dairy processor or farmer, or if you're like a grocery or co-op. Would love to have some representation from those sectors. We do have folks from Capital City Fruit. We've got food hub representation. We've got processing representation. We've got some farmers. We've got a good group, but would be great to have a few more. So if you are interested in joining, I will put my email in the chat box. And I think that's all from infrastructure and food hub managers working group.
Does anybody plan on updating or do I move on to the next slide?
Okay, this is me. I'm Krista Smith. I am with Iowa State Extension and Outreach and also one of the co-chairs of the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition. We are super excited to be able to offer an equity training this fall for this group, actually, the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition, and also members of RFSWG and IFSC. And I don't know why I put that on the slide like that. I did it wrong, but all of you are actually invited to attend. And what this is going to consist of is we've been working with the Institute for Public Health Innovation on racial equity. They've actually been leading our racial equity working group for the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition. And they are going to provide us with a two-part racial equity training. The first part will be 3 hours and offered late September. We don't have the exact dates yet. We're waiting to hear back from the consultants, but it will be in late September, and it's going to be a history on land ownership and access in how it relates to food systems, and basically a foundational equity training and discussion in that first part. And the second part will be offered toward the end of October. And that one will be really about developing and implementing actionable racial equity work, action plans, community ownership. We have in the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition, we do have an action plan that we are going to work on updating, but also giving opportunity to learn how to create an action plan, if a racial equity action plan, if you don't already have one. So those specific dates, like I said, again, are still being decided. We're just waiting to hear back. Both of them are, each of them will be a 3-hour training. The first, again, in late September, the second in late October. We can have up to 30 participants coming from these groups. So we will get the information out to you as soon as we can. If you're interested, get back to us as soon as possible because we're capped at 30. So wanted to let you all know about that opportunity coming up. And I also wanted to share with you that we have a new co-coordinator of our food education strategy team on the coalition, and that is Catherine Gilbury. I believe she's on this call. So we're welcoming her and really excited. She'll be co-leading that food education strategy team with Sarah Loki, who has been doing it for a while, and we're super excited to welcome her. So yeah, so those are some updates from us. Another thing is Chelsea is going to share with you some information about the Community Food System plus Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Conference. And then following that, Giselle's going to share some updates on LFS. So I will pass it on over to Chelsea.
Thank you, Krista. Hi, everyone. Chelsea Christ here, she, her. I co-chaired the Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Coalition with Krista, and get to work with lots of folks on the call for that. If you didn't attend, our FED team hosted a Community Food Systems and Iowa Farm to School and Early Care Conference this past summer. And this is an annual event that we do every June around the state that brings together all kinds of local food system stakeholders and farm to school and early care folks. So our update today about this is that we've decided to move to hosting an annual event still every June, but kind of doing biannually our big conference. So what that means is this year, 2024, we had our big community food system, farm to school and early care conference. Next June in 2025, we're still going to host a local food celebration, and we'll be working with a community partner somewhere in the state to host some sort of day-long event, perhaps with field trips, site visits, a big community dinner, as we did this past year at the conference. And then in 2026, we'll return with the sort of large-scale conference that we hosted this year. We decided to do this just to, really take that time to plan a high quality, high caliber event every other year and, have the momentum of our work that happens, everyone's food system work that happens. There's a lot to share after 2 years. And we really want to make sure that folks can continue to, attend and participate in that, and want to make sure that we still have the capacity to plan a really great event. So again, moving to that sort of biannual schedule for the large conference, but in those off years, quote unquote off years, we will still be hosting a day-long, really, celebratory local food event. So we'll be excited to share information about that as we start putting together some pieces for this upcoming one in next summer of 2025. So thank you, and I'll pass it to Giselle.
Thanks, Chelsea. That's exciting. So I'm now wearing my Iowa Valley hat, which we're talking about the local food for schools. So this is another USDA grant that came to the state. I already put the link in the chat box. So this is our third phase that we're entering into. So there's more information on the website, but this is sort of the final push until this funding runs out early next year from the USDA. So this funding pays for food to go out to school districts for free, which is really exciting. So they get access to local and they don't have to pay for that food. And then the farmers also receiving a fair price for their product. The food hubs are the connectors. So they work with the farmers and then they work with the school districts. There's 4 food hubs that are playing that connector role between the farmer and producers and the schools. It's Iowa Food Hub up in the northeast part of the state, Field to Family, Warehouse in Iowa City, Farm Table Delivery on what I call the West Coast out in Harlan. They cover the whole west part of the state. And then Prudent Produce is also taking on 10 or 11 schools in the Des Moines metro and northern Iowa areas. So each school got a lower amount this time because there was less funding available, $2,000 each, and they can spend that on produce, protein, whatever products they're most interested in, except for milk. And they are going to be spending that down just this fall semester. 137 schools signed up for the third round. If you want to see a list of the schools, it is linked on that website. You just scroll down and find the hyperlink. And then excitingly, Camp Creek Organic Produce, located in Kelowna, is doing a processing pilot. So it's fresh, never frozen, but also chopped or diced or processed so that the kitchen staff in the schools don't have to use their knife skills. They can just get it fully ready to go. Their team is doing shredded cabbage, cube butternut squash, cube sweet potato, and also probably another round of chopped romaine, but that's only for one large district because it's hard to grow romaine. So that's the word on LFS. We're kind of getting close to the finish line on that. Okay, I also am I serve on a couple committees as part of the Farm to School and Early Care Coalition. One of them is the procurement team. So the really exciting kind of evolution of this team was that like Farm to School and Early Care Coalition already had a procurement team. And then the Iowa Food System Coalition also has a procurement team. So now they're having joint meetings so everybody can just talk and discuss and we don't have to have extra meetings. So that's one of the nice things that I think we're going to see popping up through the coalition work in the future as well. It's like working smarter, less meetings, making sure everyone's in the loop. So Teresa Wimmerslag, I always struggle to say her name right. The godmother of Farm to School procurement in Iowa, who couldn't be here today, but she recommended that we do t-shirts. And so I worked with Beth Romer at IDOLS, which is Iowa, and Brenda at the Department of Education. And we came up with a couple great slogans with the group. Local farms feed schools, and we serve local. So this site is live. I will put it in the chat box right now. You can also find it on the Farm to School and Early Care webpage. If you navigate over to the shop tab in the menu bar, that'll get you there. So it's actually the same one as the LFS website, which is already in the chat box. I'll put it in again. Give me just a second after I'm done talking. And I just want to encourage everyone to buy them. $10 of every single t-shirt will go back to Iowa State to invest in programming around farm to school. So it's a fundraiser for these efforts across the state. We liked the We Serve Local, especially if you're a food service professional in K through 12. We can see, you know, everybody having a shirt and serving up the meals. And we hope you'll consider purchasing them, and then you can wear them on Iowa Local Food Day, which is September 25th. You can wear it the entire month of October, which is National Farm to School Month. And then you can also sign up. You don't have to be a student in the schools to participate in the Great Apple Crunch. I know at Iowa Valley, like our team we're buying the shirts, we're planning, we're going to do a photo or a video, post it on social media. But the idea is that we all crunch into an apple at the same time on the same day, which is October 9th. So encourage you to go to Great Apple Crunch, sign up your organization. We'll hear the crunch around the state. Chelsea, you might already have this on another slide, and I'm really sorry if I stole your thunder. Okay. Great. So yeah, I'll put the t-shirt link, and please buy them for your family. Like everyone would love this shirt.
I have a quick question. Are the t-shirts like being shipped out? Like they're like it's not like a pre-order or anything? Ugh, how exciting.
Yeah, so they're made to order. I think they make the screen and then it's through Raygun. So Raygun will then ship it to your house. We did this through Iowa Valley in the past, and sometimes that first order does take a little bit longer, I think, as they're setting up the screen. I'm hoping it doesn't, so that we can have them in time for these events, but just be forewarned, I'm not sure as we're getting started exactly what the ship time will be, but I feel confident we'll have them for October.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm up now for the food, nutrition, and health priority chapter. And thanks to everybody else who's presented. There's a ton going on, and I think Giselle actually needs hats so she can switch them when she's presenting, so we're keeping up. But okay, so the food and nutrition and health chapter, we've been busy. We actually, as Chris mentioned a little bit earlier, we had the opportunity to present at the Iowa Hunger Summit. So it was Chris and myself and Lindy Buckingham Shutt, and we had a nice full room. We were pretty excited about that event and getting to share what was going on in the chapter and overall all the work happening. Our work groups have been established. So just to make the connection, this chapter is part of the Healthy Eating Active Living Partnership through Iowa Health and Human Services. And so we have the work groups. We're getting co-leads for the work groups to move forward on how we're going to meet all the goals and the strategies that have been going on. And so that's some exciting stuff to be moving forward. And then also on top of that, our group here at HHS, we have done a couple different focus groups so we can really dive into leveraging the lived experience component of our chapter. And we had some focus groups with those who experience food insecurity, and then also some groups really focused on both the Latino and the Black populations in Iowa. And so we had some briefings given to us over the last couple of weeks, some great information. Yesterday was exciting about gardening and eating fresh produce and all that stuff. So as we get those final reports, we will be sharing those out so everyone can hear what we've been learning. And then lastly, we have our next partnership meeting on October 30th. So anyone who wants to join the fun work going on, you're more than welcome to. And we have our agenda on there for you to see what's all going on. So lots of work happening.
Hi everyone. So again, I'm Megan Kemp. I am taking notes so ferociously because there is a lot happening. but I also am the team lead for labor equity for the Iowa Food System Coalition. Some things that we've been making some progress on is the evaluation with Arlene, like a lot of the other priority teams, determining our metrics, continuing to think through labor equity awareness and what that would look like for the coalition. Would that be something that folks would be interested for, like a meeting topic? Could we schedule webinars? How would that look? Could we bring in labor unions, other partners in that kind of space? We have a few folks on our team that are, a lot of the time, I'm just really busy. So a lot of things are waiting on me, but we have some folks that are interested in fleshing that out and seeing what that would look like. Similarly, with the policy discussion with the other priority team, we're hoping to have that in August, but some scheduling and also just lack of people being busy and not being able to attend the meeting, we're rescheduling that. So if you're interested in talking through policy priorities or just like the discussion around that, reach out to me or someone on the policy team, and we'll make sure that you can be a part of that discussion. Our next meeting is tomorrow. And if you're interested in joining us, we share any relevant updates. So anything that you're doing, news, a lot of the times that we'll bring up any labor policies or acts or things that have been passed or are for consideration, new ideas like the awareness campaigns. We're always seeking more team members, or specifically around like job training programs, coordination and policy reform. And then contact me. That's my email to be added to the calendar invite. And yeah, I think that I saw Maria on here. Not to call you out, Maria, but did I miss anything? I think that you're like my favorite shining star of like cheerleading for this team. But I don't see her unmuting, so I think that we're good for labor equity. Super short and sweet. Yeah, thank you.
I'm not sure if Adam is on the call this morning, but we do have, as part of this priority team, there is an event coming up in September, and then there's also one in October too. So check out the information. You'll also should have gotten an email through the coalition too. So if not, you can go ahead and email Chris at Iowa Food System Coalition, and we'll get you guys the information. I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Jody. Hey, everybody. Paul McCormick here. So Chris gave us a little bit of an overview on a few things that our team has been up to, but just to recap some of those, the partner portal is now live. So if you have not taken a look at that and made an account there, please do. A lot of really great work went into that. Big thanks to Mallory for putting that together. She's also leading the writing the newsletter for the most part for the coalition, yeah, a lot of other website work. So huge thanks to her for that. We are hosting plenty of events. So Chris is hosting the one that he shared coming up soon. The plan is live, and we are sharing that out as broadly as we can. And really, ultimately, what our team is focused on is just, creating a formal presence for the coalition, really being a known quantity media to the public, and so on. So, yeah, so we've got contracts like with folks like Mallory who are doing dedicated work to the coalition. Members of our team are also writing op-eds for local publications. And yeah, just really excited to be getting the word out, and we couldn't do it without the good work that other priority teams are doing. So we really appreciate that. What else on that stuff? Yeah, and so we also meet on the fourth Monday of every month. So we've got one coming up in a week or two here. We meet at 10:30 on the fourth Mondays of every month. So if you're interested in getting involved with communication and education for the coalition, please feel free to reach out to Jody or I. Anything else, Jody?
Good morning. Hey, quick update on Choose Iowa. The Choose Iowa Food Purchasing Program launched July 31st with an announcement at the Iowa Hunger Summit. There are 6 food banks, and DMARC are participating in the pilot program. They are able to purchase from Choose Iowa members, purchase local food from Iowa. There's $225,000 of funding that's allocated. The purchases will have a 1-to-1 match, and the funds will be paid out as a reimbursement after invoices or receipts are submitted. The school pilot part of this program will be announced in January for the next following fiscal year, and those funds, I believe, will be spent by June or July of 2026. And we are compiling a list of recommendations for the report that we will submit to the legislature as part of this pilot program. For example, one of the recommendations is that we will recommend that in the future they add flour and milled grains to the list of eligible foods, such as the existing list includes meat and poultry, dairy products, eggs, honey, and produce. Any questions?
I have one.
Sure, what's that, Giselle?
Thanks, Beth. I'm just curious, like how the spend down is going, because it's not an enormous amount of money, and I know that the folks were thinking it might get spent down in a month. Like, I'm just curious, and you might not know because hasn't been invoiced yet, but I'm just curious if how's it going?
I am super curious as well. We have not received any reimbursement requests yet. My understanding is that those will be submitted quarterly. And so I'm hoping we will see some soon, but we have not really received a lot of questions. It seems to be initially there were several questions kind of at the beginning as as the food banks and DMARC were getting started. And then the questions have been pretty quiet in the last few weeks. So my hope is that the spending is going well, and we will definitely be very curious to see how that first reimbursement process goes, but we're very excited.
I think Linda might be able to add a bit to that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, hi guys. Hi Beth, hi Giselle. The spend down is going really well. We're actually looking at getting most of it spent by November
Fantastic.
of this year. I mean, I know that, well, you know, it's good to have goal. I mean, that's what we're looking at because the need is so high. Right now, everybody has a plan to spend, but it's a great opportunity. And, you know, when we're looking at the purchasing and then the 1-to-1 match. So far, I've been checking in with everybody and it looks like spending is going very well right now. So good news. So thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you for sharing, Linda. I appreciate that update. That's awesome.
Sure.
And I see a question
thank
from
you.
Gil. With the reimbursement request coming after expenditures, what happens? So each of the food banks and DMARC know their amount of allocated funds. And so they know how much funding they have been allocated. And so they are very aware of what their 1-to-1 match can be. So the funds that will be reimbursed to them will be up to the amount that's been allocated.
Okay, Beth, this is Jan Libby. I have a question on the recommendations you mentioned. And you'll get more information as you get all these reimbursement tracking in, but will you be looking at asking to increase the allocation for this funding in the future?
That is a great question. That is something that would be a better answer coming from the secretary or from his staff. I'm not sure. I have not been told on that part yet. My job is to help pass along those recommendations.
I will jump in and say that we are advocating for more to continue the program and for more funding. So we can talk requests as much as we like, and
Awesome.
we will be, and that just like with a PA, that having the farmers have the ability to plan for it. That was a little, that's a challenge this year with coming up in November, with a quick turnaround. We want to, but we're hoping that we can advocate it for a more permanent program and hopefully additional funding.
And I think that would be in line with what the coalition had as a policy priority in 2024 session. And I think I saw Luke on here, so he maybe could speak to whether that is also, so it seems like a number of folks, Beth, would be interested in moving that conversation forward.
Great.
But
That's
I
awesome.
can't speak for Luke. He can speak for himself. Thank you. Thank you for your work there.
Thank you for chipping in. This is awesome. And that I'm excited to see this list of recommendations come together. This will be good.
This is a good segue to me. Hi, everyone. Luke Elzinga. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager at the DMARC Food Pantry Network in Des Moines. Also serve on the board of the Iowa Hunger Coalition, and am one of the co-chairs for the Local Food Policy Network Priority Team, along with Ilsa DeWald and Tommy Hexter. I think Ilsa had to hop off. I'm not sure if Tommy is also with Farmers Union in DC. But that would be my guess. But yes, we are meeting with the different priority teams. We had hoped to kind of meet with everyone at this point. We did have to reschedule a couple. But we hope to have those meetings done soon. Bob mentioned this in his share out, but I think these policy meeting discussions have been really awesome. We're going to have a short list of kind of what our final policy agenda is. And I do think that, building on the success of the Choose Iowa pilot program is going to be one of those top priorities. But we've also been having some really good conversations around things that wouldn't necessarily require changes to legislation, that what I would call more administrative advocacy and making connections between programs and different organizations and entities. So I think we've had some really good discussions that I am hopeful will lead to more discussions around things beyond just changing legislation. Yeah, more to come on that. A couple of dates I wanted to share with everyone. The Local Food Policy Summit, December 6th in Ames. I'm sorry I don't have the exact time for this. I believe it's early afternoon. This is part of the Iowa Farmers Union conference. And then save the date for January 23. It's the Iowa Food System Coalition's Food and Farm Day on the Hill. We had a lot of success last year bringing folks out to advocate for local food purchasing incentive programs, as well as double up food bucks. And Giselle just messaged me, thank you. The Local Food Policy Summit is 10 a.m. to noon on December 6th. I don't know that registration is out yet, but if it is, please someone feel free to share in the chat.
It sounds like we're probably skipping this update, but most likely Tommy and Aaron are in DC.
Well, I guess it will be me again. Hi, everyone. Again, talking with my Iowa Hunger Coalition hat on now. I guess first I will share, we also have a green ray gun shirt for sale for $26. So if you're stocking up, I will put ours in the chat. But a couple things I want to run through real quick. USDA data for household food insecurity in 2023 came out this week. Not a surprise, but it showed an increase. This is Iowa's food insecurity rate on the right here at 9.8%. I will say typically when you look at individual food insecurity levels, they tend to be higher. because households with more children are just being counted once for household, but multiple times for individual. So when we see other things like map the meal gap that look at individual rates, they do tend to be higher. And so just keep that in mind. Also, this is an average for 2021 for through 2023. It's a 3-year rolling average. That's how USDA looks at the data. So 2021 numbers were relatively low. And so I think, you know, next year when these numbers come out for 2024, we'll see probably even higher, just based on what we're seeing at food pantries throughout the state. Don't have a huge update on summer EBT or Sunbucks. You may recall the governor submitted a waiver request to operate a food box program to USDA. USDA hasn't really issued a response to that box program other than in the media. They've said, you know, they don't consider this summer EBT, but they're looking at this through a demonstration kind of program. Don't know when that will come out. What I can say is the Hunger Coalition is going to continue to advocate for Iowa to participate in summer EBT. How, you know, it was passed by Congress. We did get questions out to all Iowa House and Senate candidates, asking them their stance on summer EBT. We will be making that public on Monday, September 23. So it will just be candidates' responses. You'll be able to search by district and that sort of thing. Our policy priorities will be kind of unveiling next Wednesday at our monthly meetup. Those are the third Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. I'm happy to send them along beforehand, but we're approving them with our board on Tuesday and then unveiling them next Wednesday. So feel free to join us there. Very quick update on some federal policy stuff. There is a spending battle right now. Congress has to pass some spending bills before September 30 to keep the government funded. Hopefully we don't have a shutdown. A bit on the farm bill because that's also supposed to be passed by September 30. Right now, the farm bill is probably not going to be included in those spending bills. It's possible, but from what I've seen, farm bill is probably not going to get extended before the 30th of September. That doesn't mean SNAP benefits aren't going to go out or anything like that. Some farm programs in about mid-December, I think, would start having some impacts, but their hope is to pass another extension before then. If you don't remember, they were supposed to pass this last September and have extended it, and we're seeing some more extensions. So a little bit on the federal side. And then last thing I just wanted to share, we are hosting some regional gatherings this fall and winter. So October 4th, we will be in Council Bluffs. We'll be in Cedar Rapids around the time of the Iowa Nonprofit Alliance conference, doing a kind of breakfast meetup. And I think are going to be hosting one in Northern Iowa this winter too. So you can join us remotely every month at those monthly meetups on the third Wednesdays, but we're also trying to kind of get out around the state and build some connections with other advocates. So I will put the Hunger Coalition email in the chat. As always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
I just want to note, Luke, I saw you also have long sleeve and hoodies, which is that's a nice addition.
I'm gonna spend way too much money on that ray gun store just for my own personal collection.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, everybody, for all of those updates. We do have a couple minutes. I know some great questions were already asked, but does anybody have any questions for any of our updates, speakers? And while you're thinking of your question, I did want to shout out, you did hear a lot of the priority teams talk about anybody is welcome to join their priority team. And I think all priority teams would be welcome to anybody joining. So if you're currently not active on a team and want to join that team, please email Iowa Food System Coalition and we'll get connected. We'll get you connected with the right person who is leading those priority teams. All right. I'm going to stop sharing here so I can see everybody. Anybody want to unmute and ask a question for any of our update speakers?
Giselle, did you say that the Iowa RFSI grants had been awarded, or those are about to be awarded?
Yeah, so the application, we're just doing one round of funding in Iowa. Other states are doing it differently, but the applications closed and were already reviewed by the team, the review committee in the state of Iowa. And then the USDA also went through a round of reviews. So we're just sort of waiting for the final okay to get those out. And I'm hopeful it will be very soon, like within the next month. So then we'll have a big announcement of where that's going. Yeah.
Any other questions this morning?
I know there was a few happening in the chat. So if you put a question in the chat, there might be an answer for you if you don't want to speak up. No.
Yeah, it looked like all the answer or questions had been answered in the chat, but I was doing some major catch up with a lot of great discussion in there. So please unmute yourself and ask if your question did not get answered.
And for folks who joined late or had to jump off early, we are taking notes and recording the meeting. And I usually try to section out like the different parts of the meeting for recording so you can catch up, or if you want to watch back, that'll be available after the meeting. I usually get them out within a week of the meeting.
All right, awesome. Well, I want to thank all of our speakers for updating us on the great work for their priority teams and their coalitions and work groups. We really, really appreciate it. I'm going to turn it over to Andrea.
All right, so we've already heard about a lot of great events coming up and updates for calendar updates, but I do want to remind everyone that you can always, if you have an upcoming event, you can always send that out to anybody on the steering committee, which includes myself, Jody, Megan, Ilsa. So if you have any other updates that haven't been shared yet, I think we have a slide coming up that has the ones that we know about of events. And also keep in mind that there is also a RFSWG lister. So if you have job postings or events that come up in between these meetings and you want to share those out, those can be sent out via the listserv as well. So here we go. There's a lot of really great events coming up. I don't know. I guess I'll just kind of go through them real quick here for you all.
I can give our FED update real quick before we jump into those events, because I think that's the next slide, if that's okay.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then we can wrap up everything else. So some of the updates coming out of our Farm Food and Enterprise Development Unit at Iowa State are on the slide now. One of them is Local Food Leader in person is happening in December. I'll drop a bunch of links like right now. But if you're interested in that, Kaylee is the person to contact. There's also registration open, and Courtney asked to share that. I have a lot of characters in that message, so give me a minute, but I'll drop links. Courtney asked to share that the Choose Iowa survey is going to start around awareness and interest in local food. That our team is helping with that. I'm really, really excited to share that. I know I mentioned last year about a white paper about equity in the food system. We finally got that finished and published, and it's available on our website now. Another thing is our food as medicine videos are now available on our AgMark website. The Iowa Grocery Report is so close to being published, Courtney said. And the local food festival is that I help coordinate for Iowa State University's on Central Campus is happening in a couple weeks. We already gave our conference update, and then Krista Hartsook and Penny Brown-Huber asked to share about that the Heartland Regional Food Business Center grants are open. There's a lot more information behind those, but I'm sure that the best people to contact will be the people that I tried to list after each bullet point. But I'm going to send links in the chat now, and then I think the next slide is a bunch of events. So back to you, Andrea.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about a lot of these already as we've gone through the meeting today. So I don't know that I need to reiterate. There's a couple on here, like the Rooted Carrot Co-op Fall Fest that wasn't mentioned earlier, I don't think. And other than that, I think they've come up throughout. And I'm sure those links will be sent out in the minutes, meeting minutes. So if you are looking for one of these events and you don't have the link, I'm sure those will come out either in the chat or meeting minutes. So is this the only slide? I guess I'm not sure. Yep, there we go. So I think unless welcome anyone else to share right now, I guess, if there are other updates and events happening that are not on this list. And then in the future, feel free to let us know if you want us to include them in the slide at the end of the meeting. Seems like we must have had a pretty good list. So let's see, we have one more thing left on the agenda.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to turn it over to, I believe, Chris to finish out the meeting for us from Iowa Food System Coalition. So thank you everybody for joining. November 14th is our next meeting. Andrea listed off our steering committee members for RFSWG. We are definitely looking for more people to join us. Some of us have been on the committee for a really long time, and we do probably need to start rotating people out soon. So we'd love to have you join our group. So you can just give us an email and we'd love to have you. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris. Chris or Megan, I'm not really sure. Sorry.
Chris, I can't get the Zoom polls to work.
Yeah,
so I need to not do the Zoom poll now.
All right. Well, I can attempt this if you want to. Just go ahead and scan that QR code. So I'm having trouble getting the link I had for this in there. I think we might need to just skip the Mentimeter this month. But we could instead just folks enter in the chat what opportunities that you heard about today are you feeling excited about?
And while everybody is doing that, I also had on my list to again remind everybody about the Coalition Cookout this Saturday. So excited that so many people are registered and hope to see a lot of you guys there.
Right. Well, it looks like people are generally excited about the continued momentum and progress on many fronts. People are excited for the different t-shirts you can order. Choose Iowa partnerships and other partnerships that are growing across the coalition. excited about the work on land access and feeling connected to all the different parts of this movement. So exciting work, good work across the board, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you. Megan, is the poll working, or are we gonna skip that one this
I think Zoom tech is not working, so we're gonna skip that poll also.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I think one of the questions we did want to ask too is if you guys have a topic that you would like to see in the speakers. We have, again, our November meeting, which we have not secured our speaker quite yet, but then we'll also be planning for what 2025 looks like too. So we would love to hear from everybody about what you want to hear about at these meetings, in addition to all the great updates that we've heard today. Okay, so then again, final next meeting, November